weekend. I certainly did. My wife's gone for a few days, and so it's me and Carney, my dog. And but on Saturday, I did go down to Crystal Pier where my wife is staying with three girlfriends, and had a beautiful dinner. Beautiful dinner, and they surprised me. Actually, it was pretty amazing. A gentleman that I played against back in high school. He pitched for Patrick Henry, went to Grossmont College, pitched at USIU, and then eventually became a firefighter for many years in San Diego. Jeff Larson surprised me. And I hadn't seen Jeff in years. I think the last time I'd run into him was at the San Diego County Fair, but a great guy, and it was really fun to catch up with him. It's like we saw one another yesterday. And when you play against guys and have respect for players, it's kind of like that. And it was really, really cool. He surprised me by being there when I walked in, and he came jumping out of the bedroom and said, "Hey, John, how are you?" So that was a lot of fun. Then I came home and, of course, watched the Padre game. Padre game started a little bit late on Saturday night. A lot of people were wondering why was it starting late. Well, the Fox window, Fox Baseball, they have a window, and if they play at 4, uh, you can't play within 3 hours on one side or 3 hours on the other side. So the game was supposed to start at 4. The Bristol game ended up getting rained out, but nonetheless, that's why the Padres had to start real late. You could have played at 1:10, or you could have played at 7:10. Padres, I guess, chose to play at 7:10, but nonetheless, uh, I watched a lot of baseball over the weekend. I watched the Dodgers. I watched the Angels. Man, the Angels had a rough weekend, dropping 2 out of 3. But we got a lot to get to today on the program. We have a guest coming up to talk about the Diamondbacks. Padres start a 3-game series against the Diamondbacks tonight. So it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off Thursday, Boston in town. And Boston's playing great baseball. Not going to be easy for the Padres. And then the Padres go out on the road. And they go to San Francisco. They go to LA. And then those teams come back to San Diego. So it's going to be a very interesting month of August. But before we get rolling, we are going to have one guest today, my buddy Brad Cesmat, founder and president of Sports 360 AZ. He'll give us a little scouting report on the Diamondbacks. What do we expect from the Diamondbacks? They'd lost 6 straight. Now they've won a couple in a row. But, what are you getting from the Diamondbacks? Or what's the fan base think now that they've traded off Eugenio Suarez, Josh Naylor, Merrill Kelly went to the Texas Rangers, and Zach Gallen's still there. Zach Gallen's not scheduled to pitch against the Padres, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But again, I would ask you, if you're tuning in for the very, very first time, would you please subscribe? Trying to build our viewership up, and we very much appreciate that. Please like, and please send your comments a little bit later on after Brad's done with the interview with me. We're going to get to Coach's Crew, and at the end of the program, we always have Coach's Mailbag. We take some questions from the prior show. So again, please subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. Please like, and we very much appreciate that. Hey, before I get into the Padres, just wanted to say I watched on Saturday. I watched the Pro Football Hall of Fame inductions, and they were fantastic. All 4 speakers were great. Of course, there was a San Diego flavor with Eric Allen, the great defensive back out of Point Loma, having to wait forever to get in, but he finally got in. Antonio Gates got in. Thought it was kind of interesting. The Dean Spanos was his presenter. I started to think about that, and I was kind of wondering, how about Phillip Rivers? Wouldn't that have been kind of cool if Phillip Rivers would have been the presenter for Antonio Gates? But who knows? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes on that? Jared Allen, the great defensive end for Kansas City and with Minnesota and Carolina, and his speech was great. I mean, he's just a tough, hard-nosed dude. A beautiful wife, 2 beautiful children were there. That was really cool. And then Sterling Sharp finally gets in. And I know a lot of people would say, well, Sterling Sharp only played 7 years. Well, that's true. But go back and look at his 7 years. The man had to retire because of a neck injury. He didn't want to be a guy in a wheelchair. But if you look at his career, I mean, it was amazing 7 years. I mean, total domination. And I would buy into that. I'm real hard on letting guys get into the Hall of Fame, especially in baseball Hall of Fame. But I think Sterling Sharp is a worthy recipient of that award. But it was great. I really enjoyed it and spent a couple hours. Only took about 2.5 hours because they only had four going in this year. It wasn't like they had seven. You're there forever, and they've changed it up. They've made it a lot better. I think they don't have a million people going to the podium to talk. They've got it all on tape now, and then uh, the presenter comes out and helps unveil uh, the bust, and then the player, whoever's going in, talks. So it's much better. And yeah, it's so hot there and humid, and people are falling down. They were so heat stroke there over the years. Okay, let's get to Friday night. Padres take 2 out of 3, first of all, from the Cardinals. And I got to tell you, I sat there yesterday and watched the Cardinals, but they're a bad ball club. And I don't even know how they're only one game under 500. They're a bad team. I mean, they handle the ball defensively like it's a hand grenade. I mean, they're terrible. And they play hard. I don't think they don't play hard. They're just not very good. That's one of the worst Cardinal teams I've seen in many, many years. But hey, the Padres took 2 out of 3. They let that game Saturday night get away. They had a nice 4-0 lead, couldn't hold it. But Friday night they win it 4-1. That made the Padres sixth straight win. Uh, Three new guys played that night. Ramon Laureano went 0 for 4, played left field. Ryan O'Hearn pinch hit in the sixth, got hit in the foot, and then lined out to center field. And Mason Miller pitched the eighth inning. First two batters singled to left, first and third, and you're going, oh no. Oh no, Mason Miller, now all of a sudden he's going to come to San Diego and forget how to pitch. Well, he struck out Jordan Walker, and then a nifty double play to end the inning, 5-4-3. Just a beautiful play, a great turn at second base. First of all, it was a great play by Machado, great play by Cronenworth, and they got it to first base, and that was the end of the inning. Nick Pivetta, another incredible start. Now, I know there are a lot of guys having big years, but nobody ever mentions Nick Pivetta. I watched Christopher Sanchez last night throw a gem against the Detroit Tigers. 8 innings, a no-run ball. The guy's been an amazing performer for the Phillies. But Nick Pivetta, on Friday night, 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, no walks, 5 strikeouts, gave up that home run to Wilson Contreras. 11-3 now with a 2.73 ERA. Through 89 pitches through 7 innings. Pounded the strike zone, 60 strikes. Excellent effort. Mason Miller came in, that 1 inning, 2 hits, a strikeout. Robert Suarez came in, gave up a hit, but got the job done, his 31st save. Offensively that night, big blow, 2-for-4, a 2-run single in the fifth by Jackson Merrill. Doing a great job. Elias Diaz, 1-for-3, had an RBI single in the fifth. And Luis Arraez, another 2-hit game. And yesterday, I think he ended up going 1-for-5, but he's hitting like 298. He's going to be right in the mix for the batting title. So the Padres win on Friday night. Another sellout crowd in a ball game that took 2 hours and 8 minutes, 44,933. Okay, Saturday night, late start, 44,533. A little bit longer game on Saturday night, 2 hours and 37 minutes. Cardinals out hit the Padres 12-9. Padres 2-for-6 with runners in scoring position. The Cardinals, as I mentioned, they rallied. They were 5-for-14 with runners in scoring position. Cardinals ended the Padres' 6-game winning streak. Padres led 4-0 after 4 innings. Cardinals poured across 4 runs in the fourth. The big blow was that 3-run homer by their catcher, Pedro Paez. Mason Wynn had a 2-run double to snap the 4-4 tie in the fifth. And then the Cardinals added a couple of insurance runs in the ninth. Randy Vasquez, just not a real good start. And it wasn't from the very beginning when Brandon Donovan backed up Fernando Tatis on the first batter of the game against the right field wall. He just didn't have it. Everything was flat the other night. Vasquez ended up going 4 innings and 1 batter into the 5th inning after a leadoff single. Mike Schultz had seen enough. So 4 plus 1 batter, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts, and the big home run by Paez. Jeremiah Estrada gave up a run that night. Peralta was good. Morgan had a good weekend. David Morgan is really pitching well. He pitched 2 innings on Saturday night, then came back and walked the first batter he faced on Sunday, and then punched out the next three. He has been great. And Yuki Matsui, another rough outing. His ERA now climbing to over 5 at 5.09. 1 inning, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. Also hit a batter. So not a great night. I got to give the pitcher for St. Louis a little credit. Michael McGreevy, a kid from San Clemente. In fact, I didn't realize this. He played at San Clemente High. In yesterday's start, Andre Palante played at San Clemente High. Both those guys pitched at the same time together. And why I bring this up is because the guy that's been the baseball coach for many, many years at San Clemente High, David Gallatley, actually played for me at Maricosta College, and David has had a great career coaching high school baseball, and he's also got, was it Cody Allard, that pitches for the Guardians. All those guys were like at San Clemente at the same time, so that's really cool. So David, if you're tuning in, congratulations, getting some big leaguers there. Saturday night offensively, Fernando not swinging the bat well. 0 for 5 on Saturday night. Arise, a career-high 15-game hitting streak, and then he added to it yesterday. He's got a career-high now 16-game hitting streak. Jackson Merrill, his 8th homer on Saturday night. Bogarts had a 2 for 4 night. Ramon Laureano had an RBI triple. And Freddie Fermin had an RBI ground out and an RBI single. And Padres got beat, though, 8-5. So not a great performance by Randy Vasquez. And Randy got optioned yesterday morning to AAA, but I'll talk more about that a little bit later on in the program. Then yesterday in the rubber game, and I'm sitting there. I was doing a bunch of chores, and I'd watched the Dodgers win yesterday. Boy, that was a weird series. Dodgers shut out Tampa Bay on Friday night. Tampa Bay shut the Dodgers out on Saturday, and the Dodgers shut out Tampa Bay on Sunday. That was crazy. Freddie Freeman, by the way, is starting to really swing the bat well. Mookie Betts, I don't know what they're going to do with him. They may have to move him down in the lineup. I mean, he's just awful at the plate, makes no adjustments whatsoever. Yesterday, Padres win the rubber game 7-3. They were winning 7-0. It got ugly in the 9th inning. Adrian Morejon, 5 batters, couldn't retire a batter, 4 hits, a walk, gave up 3 earned runs. ERA now at 2.17. I haven't seen Adrian struggle that bad in a long time. But Dylan Cease, maybe now that the trading deadline's over, he's going to really hone in, focus, and enjoy pitching a little more. 5 shutout innings, 1 hit, a walk, 9 strikeouts. Got his 4th win of the year. But if you'd have told me when the ball club reported Peoria in February that Dylan Cease would have a 4-10 record at the start of August, I'd have said, man, what are you drinking? You know, seriously. And his ERA at 4.60, but, maybe he'll get on track now. Like I've been telling you, he's a good guy. Just sometimes when it gets heated out there, he starts throwing rather than pitching. A lot of times in pitching, less is more. Don't try to throw the ball through the wall. Add and subtract. Mix and match. Pull back on that fastball a little bit. Make it work more as a changeup. Throw one at 98, throw the next one at 92, and then 94. Just kind of mix and match. You got to be able to do that. Jason Adam, a solid day yesterday. A 1-2-3-6 inning. Jeremiah Estrada, a 1-2-3-7, struck out the side. David Morgan, as I mentioned, walked the first batter. I think he threw 6 balls in a row. But then he ended up striking out the next 3 batters, so he looked good. And his ERA down to 1.86. Morejon struggled, and Robert Suarez came in 1 hit and a K. And you hate to use Suarez in that situation when you're up 7-0, but it got dicey there in the 9th inning. And now Suarez, I would imagine, is probably unavailable tonight. He's worked 2 days in a row, and you don't want to push the envelope too much. Yesterday, offensively, Fernando got a double. Didn't have a good series at all. I think he ended up 1 for 11 in the series. He did have a couple of walks, but hitting 264, kind of disappointing. The rise I mentioned extended his hitting streak to 16 games. Jackson Merrill, 3-run triple in the 4th inning. Xander Bogaerts, a sac fly. 38th RBI. Ramon Laureano, 2 for 4 day, his 16th homer. First is the Padre. Cronenworth, of course, got the Padres on the board with that 2-run homer. His 9th of the year. He's only hitting 235. And then Freddie Fermin. And here's the guy that I've been telling you about. Nobody knows a lot about Freddie Fermin. I think me and AJ Preller were the two guys that knew the most about Freddie Fermin. Like I mentioned last week when the Padres traded for him, I was like so shocked. They put the trade alert up on MLB Network when I was watching. They get Freddie Fermin. I go, are you kidding me? I saw this guy a few years ago when he came to San Diego, and I was asking everybody I could talk to about Freddie Fermin. And I've been keeping my eye on this guy, and I'm so excited. And I think you could tell over the weekend, this guy knows how to play. I mean, how about yesterday? His first time up, bottom of the third, leading off, the catcher realizes the third baseman's back a little bit, and the right-handed pitcher's falling off the mound to the first base side, laid down a perfect bunt. Perfect drag bunt for a base hit. Later in the ball game, he had a base hit. He also had a walk. He was 2 for 3 yesterday. So he did get called for catcher's interference. But hey, you know what? Show me a catcher that hasn't happened to. But a good win by the Padres yesterday, 7-3. They remain 3 games back of the Los Angeles Dodgers and 4 games up in the wild card. Okay, let's take a look now at the new guys that came into play over the weekend. Ramon Laureano started Friday night, went 0 for 4. Saturday, 1 for 4, an RBI triple and a run scored. Yesterday, 2 for 4, a homer, 2 runs scored. For the weekend, 3 for 12, 3 runs scored. And I'll tell you what, watch him play left field. He is really solid. Now, he's played a lot of center field in his career. He's played a little right, but he came up as a center fielder and played center field for the A's. But watch him when he gets rid of the baseball. When he has to get rid of the baseball, like on a tag up or needs to, make a quick throw to hold a runner, I'm going to tell you what, he gets rid of that ball when he wants to as quick as infielders do. So I'm very impressed with Ramon Laureano. I've always liked him, but, like I mentioned last week, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but he did get popped for 80 games a few years back, and they kind of slowed his career down. But he's back on track now. Was having a great year with the Orioles, and hopefully he'll continue here with San Diego. Ryan O'Hearn, on the other hand, did not start on Friday night, but did come in the game. First time up, he got hit in the foot. Then he lined out. He's a good hitter. Saturday went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Yesterday, 1 for 4, 1 for 8. 2 of his hits could have very well been hits, but they were lineouts. So Ryan O'Hearn's going to be fine. And then Freddie Fermin did not play on Friday night. Saturday, 1 for 4, RBI ground out and an RBI single. And Sunday, 2 for 3, a walk and a run scored. So overall for Freddie Fermin, 3 for 7. So a very nice start. The other thing that I want to bring up was, everybody's talking about, the Martin Maldonado and Elias, they got a great rapport with the pitching staff. Well, certainly they do. They've been working with these guys since spring training. But if you watched either of the 2 games that Freddie Fermin caught, and I mentioned when they traded for him, when we came on the air on Friday, I said, this guy needs to catch 2 out of the 3 games. And we'll see what the matchups are, day game after a night game. Yeah, he caught Saturday night and caught the next day. It can be done. But you're not going to run him out there every night. Diaz has actually started to hit the ball pretty good lately and drove in some key runs. But Freddie Fermin needs to play 2 out of 3 days. He's 30 years of age, younger, I think in better shape than Diaz. I think Diaz can really flourish in a role as the backup guy, not the number 1 guy. And Freddie Fermin is savvy, and you could tell, and you saw pictures during the game of him sitting on the bench going over stuff with the pitching staff. They're going to love throwing to this guy. They're going to absolutely love throwing to this guy because he's a good receiver. I mentioned he's got a great pop time from glove to glove at second base, 1.89, 90th percentile in baseball in that area. I mean, defensively, he's solid. He's going to hit 250. Okay, if he hits any more than 250, great. And I know he's, been like a 268 career hitter. Great. But I'll take 250. He's not going to hit for a lot of power. He'll double here and there, but he doesn't strike out a whole lot. And this was a great get for the Padres. Just a great get. Not only that, they've got him under control for like 3 years. So that's cool. That's very cool. The other thing, and if you read the paper this morning, um, Kevin Acee, I don't know how he broke out his calculator or talked to somebody or somebody fed him some information. I didn't think the Padres took on very much salary at all because Baltimore paid a lot of the salary of Laureano and O'Hearn. And when you take a look at the Oakland trade, you take a look at the Toronto trade, you take a look at the Kansas City trade, a lot of that stuff was kind of balancing out. I think that was the reason, I would say right now, the reason the Kansas City got both Berger and Kolek was they were trying to balance out that deal with Oakland, taking on J.P. Sears and Mason Miller's contract. Not that they're making a ton of money, but I think that was probably part of it, why they had to give up another pitcher. And I want people to understand Ryan Berger's a nice looking young 25-year-old pitcher. Stephen Kolek's a nice looking 28-year-old pitcher, but both those guys are from 3 to 5 down in the rotation. Okay, between them, they made 21 starts. Kolek made, 14, and Kolek made 14 starts, Berger made 7. And those guys did a great job. I got no qualms, but you got a frontline catcher here. You got a guy that can catch, and that's something the Padres have desperately missed for a number of years. I mean, Gary Sanchez a couple of years ago came in, did a very, very nice job. But you knew he was short term. Freddie Fermin's going to be here. Freddie Fermin will be one of our catchers in 2026. I don't have any doubt about that. So, we'll see where it goes with this ball club. But man, they got a 4-game lead right now over the Cincinnati Reds for that final wild card spot. And hey, get hot. But I got to be honest with you. I was looking at their schedule. I mean, their schedule is very daunting here the next few weeks. I mean, you got a bunch of games against the Dodgers, the Giants, Boston, Diamondbacks at Chase Field are always tough. So, there we have it. Okay, now I want to get into Joe Musgrove. We're waiting on Brad Cesmat. Brad will be joining us here before too long, I would imagine. Joe Musgrove on Saturday night threw his first bullpen. And I did not get word how hard he was throwing, but from watching the tape, and I didn't see the catcher, I just saw Joe in his delivery releasing. He pumped it in there pretty decent. He threw 15 pitches. There are a bunch of guys out there watching him. And apparently yesterday he felt really good. Hopefully he feels good again today. Joe is still proclaiming he wants to come back and pitch at the end of the year, maybe only 1 inning. Now with what you brought on, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be room for Joe Musgrove to be a 1 inning pitcher and not be able to pitch on back-to-back days. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe if the Padres have it wrapped up, you activate him, let him pitch an inning, last week of the season. And, I don't know how you can carry him on the postseason roster, because he can't throw back to back. So we'll see where that goes. But just to see that big old horse back up on the mound was really, really good. Okay, Michael King. I think we're going to see him pretty soon. I was thinking maybe the next time around the rotation, but I don't think so. And I know numbers in AAA can lie, but his numbers weren't good. The ball to strike ratio was not good. First rehab start yesterday at Round Rock, the Express. He pitching for El Paso. El Paso won 7-6. By the way, El Paso having a really nice year. They're 58-49. Michael King yesterday, a 3 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 6 runs, all earned, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, hit a batter, gave up 2 home runs. And talking about the ball strike ratio, 61 pitches, 34 strikes. That's not a great. You'd like it to be close to 70%, 68 to 70%, nowhere near that. The big thing today, I'm sure he'll be in Arizona tonight. Hopefully he feels well. That's the big thing. And I'd give him one more. I mean, the way the team's playing right now, I'd give him one more. Maybe on Friday. Let him pitch for El Paso again on Friday. See where he's at. Build that pitch count up a little bit. Maybe he'll be a little bit sharper. And I realize you're playing uh, down in the PCL, but quite frankly, at Round Rock, you're not. The altitude there is not like it is at El Paso or Colorado Springs or Salt Lake City or Albuquerque. Okay, so not a great performance, but more than anything else, he got out of it healthy, and that's the big thing. The other guys I wanted to mention, just because we got time, and I think you people kind of probably would like to know a little bit about how these guys are doing. Kyle Hart came in uh, later in the ball game and picked up the win in relief. 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. His record now with the win. He got the win yesterday. 3-4 and a 4.47 ERA. And Luis Camposano, he caught yesterday. And I always bring that up because he's played first base. He's actually played a little left field. But he caught yesterday, went 1 for 3, a 2-run homer, a 16th. Camposano right now, 305 average, 16 homers, 62 RBIs, and 987 OPS. So Camposano getting the job done. And again, the Padres only took on about 1.5 million. They had to be able to pay that back in a couple of nights at Gallagher Square. And especially with Boston coming, that 1.5, and not a whole lot to take on the talent they did. So I mentioned Randy Vasquez. We're going to get into him, and Brad Cesmat should be joining us shortly, and then we're going to get out to your questions as well. Randy was optioned down to AAA. Maybe he was told about that on Saturday night after his performance or yesterday when he came to the ball club, but optioned to El Paso, and everybody's going, wow, what's going on there? Well, they're going to activate Nestor Cortez, the former New York Yankee who they got from Milwaukee. And Nestor's not had a good year. I'll talk more about him later. He is coming back from a flexor tendon injury. Didn't have surgery, just rehab, and has been pitching down in AAA and, made good progress. He tentatively is going to be the starting pitcher on Wednesday, the final game over in Arizona. Randy Vasquez had a rough night the other night, a real rough night, probably the roughest he's had in a long time. But I was looking at his numbers this morning. He's made 22 starts so far this year. He's 3-5 with a 3.93, a WHIP of 1.39. He's thrown 107 and 2/3 innings, given up 102 hits. Why that is synonymous, why I wanted to bring up the innings of 107 and 2/3 is last year he pitched 98 innings. They've got to slow his innings down. And they're going to do that by sending him to AAA. And hey, there's always roster moves. There's always reasons for doing things. And I think more than anything else, I'll let him go down there, let him get a breather. You got J.P. Sears throwing tonight against the Diamondbacks. And then you got Cortez throwing on Wednesday. Give Randy Vasquez a little bit of a breather, and I'm sure we're going to see him back before too long. All right. Before we get out to questions, we got this gentleman coming on. He's all suited up for us today. He was doing his show, and he's got a lot of things going on over there, especially with football starting. He's always at these luncheons and banquets as the MC, and we appreciate his time. The founder and CEO of Sports360AZ.com, my good friend Brad Cesmat. And Brad, you didn't have to suit up for me this morning.
It's a big deal to be asked to be on the coach's show. Coach calls, coach texts. Please, please, please come on the show. No. There's a dress code here. Remember back in the day, John, when the LA Times did this big piece on all of us at 690 and they ranked us. It was silly. It was all the talk show guys. It's like the late 80s. And they put me in there and they said, best dressed sportscaster. Does he know he's on radio? Which I loved. I thought that was funny. It was true because
after you left, I used to wear ties and suits to the ballpark, and everybody go, "Man, you're the best dressed guy on radio." I go, "Thank you," but yeah, I think about it now. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I'd go to the ballpark wearing a suit and tie every night.
Sure. There's nothing wrong with that. But unless you're not coming to tonight's game over here in Phoenix, are you, John?
No.
It's going to be a nice, crisp 116 today. Nice, crisp 116. When you and I get done, I'm going to unsuit and I'm going to go for my bike ride. I will last about a minute and a half before my tires melt. That's what's going to happen today with me, because the Diamondbacks, it's really an interesting series. You know, it's early August. You could say these are the start of the dog days. You could say that, just as you were talking before I came on the air about sending someone down to get some work and innings and all that stuff. That's now what baseball's become. They pick spots where, okay, why is this guy being sent down? We're used to the guy's being sent down because he can't play dead. Well, no, now he's being sent down because we're worried about this part of him and that part of him, and it's a long ass season. So, you know, that happens. And tonight you're going to hear all about Tyler Locklear. Not Gene Locklear, but Tyler Locklear. Tyler Locklear is the marquee player that came over in the Gino Suarez trade. And I think when I came on with you about 3 weeks ago, it felt like you could make the argument, keep these guys, but I leaned more towards, if you keep these guys, Mike Hazen's not doing his job as general manager, and the owner's going to chop somebody's head off over here at the end of the season. That's just how Ken Kendrick goes. I don't believe it's Torey Lovello. I don't believe it's Mike Hazen. Last year it was Brent Strom and Mike Fetters down the bullpen. I don't know what's going to be this year. But somebody, because this season, yes, you can talk all you want about injuries and everything, and you can lead the league in runs. That sounds great. But if you don't have pitching and you don't have the mental focus, which this team at times hasn't had, then you are going to dump most everybody. And that's what they've done. Outside of Zach Gallen, they're hoping to get a compensation pick for him in free agency. So he actually has something to pitch for, John, these next 2 months. It's, no, I'm not as horrible as I've shown this year in Arizona. Please pay me a boatload of money, and we'll go from there.
What was the market for Zach Gallen at the trading deadline? Was there a market for Zach Gallen?
I think there was a market, but it wasn't very much coming back. And, you know, his velocity has still been in the mid to high 90s, on occasion high 90s, but mostly mid 90s. He's just been one of these guys that has befuddled and betwixt most everybody this year because he has not gone out and pitched consistently. You know, he was the opening day starter. It wasn't Corbin Burns, who they paid $240 million to. It was Zach Gallen. And my way of thinking, okay, that's a nod to, it's your free agent year. We still love you. We want you to be here. You're our best gun. And he wasn't very good on opening day. And ever since then, it's been an uphill climb. He was pretty good in Oakland. I could call them Oakland, West Sacramento, Las Vegas. They played the A's over the weekend, John. He was pretty good against the A's on Saturday. But, you know, Brandon Pfaadt's throwing tonight. Brandon Pfaadt has been too good this year, meaning he doesn't know that the strike zone can go sorts of different directions. He just wants to put it right over the plate. And then he gets whiplash. So, you know, you see Brandon Pfaadt as a young arm that they already extended. They already gave him a big extension last year with Corbin Carroll. And I'm of the opinion that, look, I want this to be the baby backs. In 2004, they finally tore down the rest of the World Series championship team from 2001. Schilling, Johnson, the rest of them left. And they went out and they promptly lost 110 games. And they played dudes like Robbie Hammock and Matt Cata. And you probably haven't heard of Robbie Hammock or Matt Cata unless you follow the Diamondbacks closely. They had this young pitcher, a guy named Brandon Webb. Turned out to be pretty good. And I would say that seeing Tyler Locklear over at first base, he's not Christian Walker defensively. And so is he the future? You gave up Gino Suarez, who's going to be a free agent. I actually thought they did pretty good on that trade. The rest of the players, I haven't studied them enough because you're right, I am in football mode over here. That's what happens in this town. The minute the team starts dumping everybody, they go into college pro football. But it's, you know, that's a whole nother topic. But I think for the Padres, it's, do you come in here and it's a morgue? You know, is it because this ballpark is an empty mall at times. And there's not very much energy and enthusiasm. And that was interesting, John. I'd like your take on this. So the general manager of the Diamondbacks, Mike Hazen, actually went into the locker room and held a meeting on Saturday with the team before the game. and said how much they care about the players and that this is your guys' team. Go out, do what you can do. When they went to the World Series, and I'm not saying this is going to happen again, they were dead in the water on August 1st that year, and they came alive. They didn't tear down their roster like they did this time. But do they just roll over? They're back home. It's a Monday game after a 10-game roadie. This could be a very, very much a 6-0 Padre roll to victory night. Or are they competitive? Is there a fire about them? Are they going to come out and play well against a team within their division? And so I'm interested in that side of it.
Brad, I've been a big Torey Lovello fan. A few years back, he was kind of, is he going to be the manager? Is he not going to be the manager? He ends up getting them to the World Series. And I've always liked him. I think he's got a great baseball resume. I think he's a good guy. I don't know him personally, just from afar. But do you think maybe his time is starting to come to an end, though, in Arizona? Maybe not just for the organization, but maybe be best for him to move on?
I think, look at Terry Francona, John. Do you see any similarities there? You're in a place for a long, long time. And yeah, there was health reasons. Boch. Sometimes the message just stops. I'm not saying that's going on over here because, look, they still have a very talented nucleus. Corbin Carroll, Perdomo, Marte, guys that were on the World Series team. So it's not like he's managing a completely start from scratch deal. But I'm kind of into your boat where it's questioning whether Torey should be back or not is very fair. It's very fair. Questioning whether Mike Hazen should be back. Very fair. Look at Jordan Montgomery. They brought Jordan Montgomery over here, paid him a boatload of cash, never really saw the field, and they just threw him in the Shelby Miller deal. Look at their first-round picks. We've not seen Jordan Lawler up here yet. First-round pick. High first-round pick. Andrew Jones kid, Drew Jones. Haven't seen him up here yet. High first-round pick. Play those kids. Let's see what we have. I mentioned it earlier. This is not an owner that is one to sit back and say year after year. And Ken Kendricks put on a good product on the field. This is a small market, just like the Padres. And they put money into scouting. They put money into development. They've definitely thrown money into free agency. Anybody who argues that and says he's cheap, they simply don't know the game. Now, throwing money at Madison Bumgarner that's still on the books even next year. Come on now. Jordan Montgomery's contract, Corbin Burns' contract. I think all those were, saying we're committed to it. Where does Torey fall into this? Is it a full reset saying we've taken this voice about as far as we can go? And whoever thought Craig Counsell would leave Milwaukee and go to Chicago? Or Pat Murphy, who I covered here at Arizona State, and I loved Murph, that he'd be doing a hell of a job and be in the running for manager of the year in the National League. Sometimes the voices just need to change. Sometimes.
It's interesting to bring up Pat Murphy, and we know he had a great college career at Notre Dame, then at Arizona State, and the NCAA came in, and we could hash over who was right, who was wrong on that, but he ended up getting into professional baseball, working for the Padres. And I got to tell you, when he was here in San Diego in 2015, he wasn't very good. He wasn't very good at all. He was kind of a misfit here, but I give him a boatload of credit. Not only did he go and work with Counsell for years and learn the big league game, he's really taken it to a different level last year, but even more so this year with the way he's managing. He's almost managing the enthusiasm of a college baseball team. They run, they hit and run, they do a little bit of everything. He won the National League Manager of the Year award a year ago. And I'll be honest with you, Brad, I wasn't real high on him when he was here in San Diego. I didn't think he did a very good job, and they didn't have a great team. And after Buddy Black got let go, a lot of weird things were happening. And, he was more interested in everybody liking him rather than running the ball club. But he won the NL Manager of the Year last year. And I'll be honest with you, I've watched a lot of the Brewer games this year, and I've heard him talk a lot. I got to believe he's the front runner to win it back-to-back years.
I would think so. I would say you have to look at what's going on in Miami. The Marlins. Who had the Marlins?
Back to the 500 mark.
Right. Who had the Marlins back to the 500 mark? That, if you're looking at those two and just saying where they are, I think in Torey's case, you could make the argument, and look, Lovello, from my view, this is just simply my view, they'll deny it, but he works at the bank as a teller through the drive-through window. The chute comes down from upstairs saying, this is who you're going to play. That's what's going on over here. He has the chute come down to him. I don't believe that Torrey, that this is his roster or his team top to bottom, nor is it for many managers in this day and age. I get that. But I love how he has a young player. John, I'll give you a young guy, Blaze Alexander. Blaze Alexander is super athletic and can play a number of positions and has become a bit of a fan favorite over here. And he played at third the other day with Suarez gone. And he's one of those guys that fits the mode of a Corbin Carroll, Jake McCarthy, who was a quarterback, a very, very good athlete. They've got some athletic dudes on this roster. Alec Thomas. They have a no-fly zone that they call their outfield. and I like that. And it's because they do have a lot of speed. Now, they don't have a lot of pop. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., they played him over at first, or he's been taking ground balls at first. He hasn't been in a game yet at first, I don't believe. And so what happens with him? He's a free agent at the end of this season. There's a time where you meet a team that's good, and a time where you meet a team that's bad. I think the Padres are coming in here red hot, obviously, and the Diamondbacks are coming in here kind of like meh. Okay, we took 2 of 3 from the A's, and most of our glue guys, like Gino Suarez, was the glue of this team in the locker room. Perdomo's the leader of this team. Suarez was the glue guy. There is a difference, I think, in the locker room.
Brad, tonight at Chase Field, game 1 of a 3-game series. What kind of crowd, and what are the fans saying about this ball club to you and on Sports Talk Radio if you're listening?
I would say that the feeling over here, this is a weird market, John. I may have said this to you a while back. When it hits summer over here, people leave. That's what they do. That's how you get out of here. That's why when people say, hey, man, have you been down to Solana Beach lately? And there's all these license plates from Arizona. Yeah, we're paying a lot of funding over there. We run the fish house up in Carlsbad. That's our deal. So it's we get out of here. And then when you have a spell like this where it's 116, it's supposed to be 110 or higher. I think we're coming up on 48 days in a row. Wow. So now you may say, well, true baseball fans, no, people aren't that sadistic. People aren't that crazy. They want to go see a competitive, fun team, and their attendance has been great this year. It's been great, John. But school goes back in over here early. School started last week over here for most of the school districts. And so you're not going to have the kids there at the game tonight. I don't think it's going to be one of those games where you introduce the fans before the players. Over in section 116, good to see John Kentera here. Hey, Brad Cesmat's over in section 119. I don't think it's going to be that. 22,000. But there's still a lot of people that aren't back in Phoenix yet. They don't start showing up here until we get into about mid-September. And so that you have to take that when people say, oh, Phoenix is a bad sports market. No, we're not. Try coming over here and living. We did lose an NHL franchise. We're going to keep the baseball team. They got the stadium situation worked out. They'll start construction on it in 2027. They're going to tear it down to about 40,000, maybe 38,000. I think that's about right. That's where it needs to be. 49 is too big. So I think the expectation to answer your question long-winded, explains that this market's just different. Even if they were in a race, John, even if they were in a race tonight, maybe 30, they wouldn't sell out. Monday night, school night, 115, 116, no way. Doesn't make
it'll be a very interesting series because the Padres historically have not fared very well, no matter what type of ball club Arizona's had. Padres, that place has been a house of horrors for the Padres in their franchise history.
Well, if you look at the schedule, who did the Padres play the last 3 games of the regular season? Diamondbacks. And I still believe there's going to be something on the line when it comes down to those games. You have a bunch. What do you have? 6 left with the Dodgers and like 7 with the Giants still?
Yeah, and it's all going to be done by like the 22nd or 23rd of August.
Okay, so the head-to-head is really going to come down to those last 3 games, John, I got to believe the wild card situation. Although, can the Dodgers be caught? The optimistic Padre fan would say, of
Yeah, I
course.
do think the Dodgers can be caught. 3, 4 weeks ago, I wouldn't have thought that the way the Padres were playing, the way the Dodgers had a big lead. The Dodgers are really scuffling right now. Mookie Betts is just awful. I mean, he's playing a great defensive shortstop, but offensively, he didn't get a hit in the entire series against Tampa Bay. He was like 0 for 12.
He's on the fishing boat afterwards. I don't know, having some fun down there in the
I
bay.
don't know, I
But
think he's bowling too much and podcasting too much. How about that?
how about that? But I think if we're just looking at the National League wild card, we're fair to say the Cubs are going to make it, right?
I think the Cubs and Milwaukee are in.
Yeah. And if we're just talking about the National League, the Phillies are in.
Phillies are in. Mets are probably in. And the
Dodgers,
Padres are in.
Dodgers are in.
Right.
Padres are in.
Yeah. I think that those are the teams.
Okay. So then that leaves a team like Cincinnati, who's been up and down.
They're 4 games back of the Padres right now.
Great manager, right?
Great manager.
Not going to have his team just fall asleep at the wheel. And
they'll keep playing hard. And you got a lot of young players that are trying to prove themselves still.
Right. So if you go up and down the roster, if you go up and down the standings division, who's the team that the Padres have to look at and say, we cannot slip out of the wild card because of this team?
Well, I think it's Cincinnati right now. The Cardinals were here. Cardinals, I don't know if you've seen the Cardinals, but they're terrible.
Yeah, they're not good.
I mean, that is one of the worst. And the thing that's amazing to me, they're only 1 game under 500. And I've watched them play 7 games in the last 2 weeks against the Padres. And I'm ticked. The Padres won 5-2. I don't know how they lost those other 2 games. The Cardinals, they handled the ball on defense like a hand grenade.
Yeah. When I saw St. Louis early this season, Nolan Gorman, of course, from Arizona, so like to watch what's going on, and the Redbirds looked like a team that was going to be very good in April and May, and then they just completely crapped the bed and fell apart. I think in baseball, though, John, I wish that there was more energy and enthusiasm over here towards baseball. Now, this is one of those markets where if we said, hey, let's talk about the Packers or the Cowboys today, that's all people would want to talk about. Okay. And it's because for years there wasn't an NFL team over here and they only showed Cowboy games. So there's this huge Cowboy, even though the Cowboys stink out loud and they never do anything. And, oh, I'm a Cowboy fan. Well, are you a diehard Cowboy fan? Yes, I am. I'm like, yeah, you are a diehard. You've died hard many times. And, so in the baseball side of it, it's August 4th. Let's turn the page. No, I don't really want to turn the page. I think baseball as a whole, attendance is up. I thought what they did at Bristol with the Reds and Braves was beyond ridiculous. Don't force it down our throats. And then you have a rain delay, and clearly nobody thought about what was going to happen if the game was postponed. Do you really need to say, look, we can fill 165,000 seat venue or 100,000 seat venue to show how bad we are? No, show the intro in Philadelphia when their new closer comes in from Minnesota. That's what gets people excited. That is so cool. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not.
No, I saw it last night. I watched the game. Sanchez was unbelievable. Now, I just want to mention something real quick on the Bristol thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they were trying to break this record, but I heard it was a complete and utter disaster for the fans. I heard they ran out of food before the game ever started.
They told them that you can go to the local 7-Eleven, Circle K, and bring food in yesterday and water. But does baseball need gimmicks? So like Bryce Harper,
you know what baseball needs is they need a new commissioner. Their commissioner is awful. Awful.
Yeah, he is going into the Phillies locker room and having Bryce Harper undress you. And then that story gets out. Or was it last year he had a throwaway comment during the World Series that the trophy was just a big piece of metal?
Yeah.
It was on the air. That didn't sit well with people.
Well, this guy, I didn't even like him when he was Bud Seliger's right-hand man. This guy's an arrogant little
yes.
goofball.
Yes. Okay. Thought you were going to go over the line there, John.
No, I wouldn't go over the line, but somebody asked me a while back, and I'll finish on this, Brad. And I thanks for the time. I know you're
Yeah, sure.
very busy today. Somebody asked me if you ever had the opportunity to interview the commissioner of baseball, what would you ask him? I go, well, my first question would be, Mr. Manford, have you ever seriously considered retiring before 2029? I mean, we're stuck with this guy to 2029. He's ruined the game of baseball. He's ruined the
Whoa,
game
whoa,
of
whoa,
baseball.
whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. I don't think I agree with you on that. Is
Well,
attendance
he's wiped out 42 minor league teams.
okay?
Okay. And the owners think it's just great because now they don't have to pay for those extra players and all that, but it's wiped out the marketing of baseball all over America. There are a lot of kids in small towns in the Midwest. That was their only connection to professional baseball. They don't get to drive to Kansas City or to St. Louis or wherever. I mean, he has put the kibosh, and then the Manford man, the ghost runner out there at second base, he can stick that where the sun don't shine. I mean, that hurts the game of baseball. You know what? That's what some of the great stories you have as a kid going, oh, I went to the Padre game. Yeah, they won in 15 innings. You're telling
Right.
that story 20 years from now. But because these pitchers can't throw more than one inning out of the bullpen, and you've already got 13 pitchers on the roster. I mean, come on. I mean, a lot of great ball games that we watch on a Wednesday night. I know people got to go to work. That's their decision whether or not they want to stay up. But a lot of great ball games going back and forth, back and forth. All of a sudden, it's decided by a guy out there at second base. And I'll tell you this: I think the home team has a tremendous advantage in the extra inning situation because the visiting team always has to play for multiple runs. Okay, they've always got to play for multiple runs. And the visiting team, if they don't score, then the other team can play the small ball game and they could win a ball game without even getting a base hit.
Okay, I'll be Rob Manfred. Okay.
God love you.
Is attendance up
Yeah, it is.
considerably? Now
I
this
yeah,
is
I
a
haven't looked. I couldn't tell you. In San Diego, it's off the chart.
yeah, but it's a trick question, John. It's kind of like the jobs report isn't what I want the jobs report to look like, so we're going to get rid of you. It's if the attendance isn't up now, baseball's saying they're up 12%.
But we also have two major league teams playing in minor league ballparks too.
You win. And so the commissioner is going to make things sound great. He is in fairness walking into trying to handle a situation where a salary cap is going to be put in place or not put in place because these owners feel like they can't continue to do what they're doing.
I'm okay with the salary cap, but with that, you also have to have a salary floor too.
Sure. No, there's no question. You can't have like I wish I'd had more time. Couple more minutes. I've covered bad owners. You've covered bad owners. You and I were there. And the first owner that I covered when I got going into this as a young guy out of Palomar College was a guy named Donald T. Sterling. The worst of the worst of the worst.
Right.
Bad owners over here. I've had the best owner in all of sports, and Jerry Colangelo, that I've ever been around. And they're guys that just flat don't care about winning. All they care about is what does their balance sheet look like.
And Brad, you know what? Once upon a I didn't believe that until I was around the NFL for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Fans, John, it's like spring training. It's like football season in these fake football games that get started this week that people get all excited about. And it's preseason NFL. And okay, let's be clear about this. You're putting your best players in harm's way. It's different than spring training in baseball because in spring training in baseball, you do have to go off of getting yourself stretched out. You do have to go about getting yourself ready. Football, that's a violent car crash. I don't know if you've been on a sideline at an NFL game, John.
Oh yeah.
It's mayhem. Okay. So it's flipped over to basketball. When I see star players, Jason Tatum and Steph Curry are holding their Achilles or Kevin Durant, yeah, you might not want to play 150 games between regular season, preseason, and then go overseas and play, and
The
then
Olympics.
the Olympic Games. Right. So there's this whole thing with owners, and I have to go do my show now, so I have to run.
Well,
So
at least I got you fired up.
look, I was going to tell you, man, tell Kelly to calm you down, give you a Miralax or something.
Well,
Holy
Kelly's down
cow.
at Crystal Pier in San Diego till tomorrow, so I get to, me and Carney get to hang out here and have a good time.
There you go. It's good
All
seeing you
right,
as
Bradley.
always.
Hey,
Hey,
thank you so much.
I will come on again and play Rob Manfred if you want.
Well, that's good. Best thing he did was put the pitch clock in. That's been really good.
Yeah. Remember Armando Reynoso, pitch for the Diamondbacks. When Jerry Colangelo asked me to do games with him for a year, and I referred to Armando as the human rain delay because that dude would take forever. It was 3:30 no matter what. Just oh my gosh.
Well,
So
him and Steve Traxel.
there's some names. All right, see,
Yeah.
I gotta run.
Hey, have a good one.
You got it.
Brad Cesmat, founder and CEO of Sports360az.com. Boy, he has made a great name for himself over in the Valley of the Sun. Yeah, not a big fan of the commissioner. Not a big fan at all. But I do think there's going to be a salary cap. And the only reason I want a salary cap is for you fans. That's the only reason I want for you fans to have a salary cap, because you can't keep paying the amount of money you're paying right now, year in and year out, to go to Major League Baseball games. It's unbelievable. Okay, time to get to Coach's Crew. We're having a little bit longer show than normal today, but let's roll Coach's Crew, and then we're going to get you the pitching matchups, and we're going to take a look at the standings before we get out of here, and we'll also get the Coach's mailbag. Let's roll those questions on Coach's Crew. What do we got today? Oh, man, right out of the gate. Thank you very much for that. Super. Very much appreciate that. 02RR. So nice to finally see production from left field catcher, and bottom of our lineup sheets has been solid all year, but he's better off the bench. You know what, 02RR? You know the game of baseball. I totally 100% agree with you on that. But you know what? Gavin Sheets is going to get his opportunity. They're going to keep him in the mix. I would think tonight. You've got a right-hander, Brandon Fott, going 10-7 and a 5.11. I would think they'll try to get him in there tonight. I would stack that lineup with some left-hand hitters tonight. Part of the reason he may lose playing time, aside from Laureano, going against a lot of the left-handers, Laureano had the second best average against right-handed pitchers for right-hand hitters in the American League. So doing a really good job against right-handers this year. But thank you very much, and I agree with you. You got a lot of production over the weekend from left field catcher Freddie Fermin. I'm a big fan of his. I like the way he plays. He's really into it. So thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. Super. Big Sam, good morning, Coach. I think Schilt needs to stop giving such a long leash to the guys in the pen. I know they're usually great, but long leashes can come back to bite it like it almost did yesterday. Yeah, yesterday I thought Morahone, man, he just didn't have it. And I know they didn't want to get Suarez up, but Adrian has been so good, and luckily they had a 7-run lead, but it got really, really dicey there. More times than not, I think Schilt hooks the guy, sometimes maybe a little bit earlier than I would think. I mean, really, when a guy gets a hit and gives up, Schultz coming out after Ruben Niebla. I mean, when Ruben Niebla comes out, and you're a relief pitcher, you're like one batter away from being taken out. They're basically killing time to get that next reliever up. So, if I had one criticism of Mike Schilt, is I'm not a big fan from day to day. I mean, there's nights where he does a good job. There's other nights to me, he's not real consistent with how he handles his pitching staff. And, I don't want to bring up Bruce Bochy, but I'll bring up Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy is as good a manager as I've ever seen of handling a pitching staff. He does an incredible job. And that's one of Bochy's main strengths, is handling a pitching staff. And I'm just not a big fan of how Schultz handles the pitching staff from time to time. But, he knows more about it than I do. He knows how guys are feeling. But there's some nights where I'm just kind of shaking my head. It's not so much the guys he brings in. I have no problem with that. It's when he brings them in. and when he pulls that starter. I guess I'm from an old school. I like to see those starters go a little bit deeper in ball games because it'll help the relievers at the end of the year. But Sam, thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. All right, Shep, connect. In your opinion, what factors into a hitter like Bogart's performing as poor as he was with runners in scoring position? In hitters' pitching tendencies, can it be psychological? Interested in your thoughts. Well, it can be a variety of different things. I think one thing you watch for, especially when you're struggling, you start gripping that bat a little too tight. And when you grip that bat too tight, that's going to slow your swing down. I think as much as he's struggled over the last couple of years, he puts a tremendous amount of pressure on himself. I mean, the fans will get on you. And I think Bogarts is starting to win over the fans because he's a good guy. He's playing a great shortstop, and he's hitting 270 now. His career average is like 286. So, he might be able to get up to that this year. But, his power numbers are definitely down, even though he's slugging some doubles, not hitting many home runs. And most of the home runs he's had to pull to where he's not really driving the ball, not maybe using his legs as much. But I think it becomes psychological. A big part of this game, 90% of this game is mental, and it wears you down. It wears you down. But I think a couple of things, pitch selection, not being over anxious, and I think gripping the bat a little bit too tight and trying to do too much, trying to drive the ball a little bit too much. But you got to step into the box. Timing's about rhythm and timing. And that's what it's all about. And the pitcher's job is to disrupt the timing. And I see a lot of guys that step into the box. I'm talking more about amateur type hitters, and they're stepping in the box and they're hoping to get a hit, hoping. And unfortunately, big league guy Jackson Merrill probably went through this a few weeks back when he was really struggling. Now he's in a really good hot streak. But you get in there and go, man, I hope I can get a good hit here. You don't hope. You got to go in there knowing, hey, I'm going to get a good pitch. I'm going to put a good swing on this. I'm going to get a hit. You got to step in the box knowing you're going to hit. Don't go in there hoping and wishing. You got to get in there. It's all about confidence. It's all about confidence. And a lot of good hitters, Shep, they're better with runners on base because they're able to really focus and really mentally be ready to go. They want to drive in those runs. And they'll hit like 220 is a regular guy with nobody on, and they'll hit 320 with a couple of guys in scoring position. It's just different. Everybody's different, but a lot of times guys try to grip the bat, the tension, and all that tension goes into your forearms, your wrists, your shoulders, and you're just trying to do too much. But I think a lot of it's more psychological than it is, your fundamentals. But that's how I would answer that question. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. All right, Casey King. What do you think of Alex Friedland of the Dodgers? Been doing pretty good since being called up last week, and hoping they keep him when Muncy gets activated this week. I don't think they will. They're running out of roster spots. By the way, Alex Friedland out of University of Central Florida, a switch hitter, can play, pretty much all infield positions. He can play short if needed, but second, short, third, played a lot of third for the Dodgers so far. Didn't have a hit yesterday, but it had a hit in his prior a few ball games, and looks good. Looks really good. Made a couple of really nice plays down there at third base. Muncy been rehabbing in OKC, and I think it was Saturday. He had a big day. Hit a home run, was 3 for 3, and I would imagine he's going to be back with the ball club very soon. The thing that'll be interesting in the Padres, after taking 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals go up the road, and they've got the Dodgers. And Tommy Edman rolled his ankle yesterday. It's the ankle that's been giving him a lot of problems. Tommy, I have a feeling, is probably going to go on the IL, so maybe that'll buy Friedland a little bit more time. We'll know more about Tommy Edman a little bit later today. Casey, thank you very much, but Alex Friedland has looked very good in the few ball games he's played so far. No question about it. All right, what else we have this morning on Coach's Crew? Let's take a look here. And hope you enjoyed that interview with Brad Cesmat. Okay, any more questions there, Jonathan? If not, I'll get to the pitching matchups for tonight. All right, let's get to them. Monday night, 6:40 at Chase Field. Padres sending left-hander J.P. Sears 7-9 and a 4.95 to the Hill. So far this year, Sears has made 22 starts for the Oakland Athletics, 111 innings pitched, a 1.27 WHIP. His last start was against Seattle. 4 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. So he's had a good amount of rest. He'll be ready to go tonight against 26-year-old right-hander Brandon Pfaadt, 10-7 and a 5.11 ERA. Tomorrow night, Tuesday at Chase Field at 6:40, it'll be right-hander Yu Darvish coming off that marvelous start last week against the Mets, 1-3 and a 6.46 ERA, going against right-hander Ryan Nelson, 6-3 and a 3.20. And then Wednesday at Chase Field, another 6:40 start. It'll be a Padres left-hander making his Padre debut, Nestor Cortez, 1-1 and a 9 ERA, going against the veteran right-hander Anthony DeSclafani, 1-2 and a 4.91. DeSclafani got a late start this year. He was down in the minor leagues and got out of his other deal and signed with Arizona. In 9 games, he's made 2 starts and pitched 25 2/3 innings. Cortez now, his numbers, he's 1-1 with a 9 ERA, but he's only pitched in 2 games, which is crazy. And his numbers were not good. 8 innings, 7 hits, 8 earned runs, 5 homers, 7 walks, and 8 strikeouts. He'd been dealing with a flexor tendon injury and been down in the minor leagues for Milwaukee, working his way back. And I guess his last performance was really good. And I went back and looked at his log. He last pitched on April 3rd for Milwaukee. He had a great outing that day. He went 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs against Cincinnati. But in his first start of the year against his former mates on March 29th, he gave up all 8 of his runs in that game. 8 earned runs, 5 homers in 2 innings. And then he made the other start, and then boom, he's been out. So we'll find out a little bit more about Nestor Cortez on Wednesday night. So there you have it. Okay, let's get to their National League standings today. See where we're at with that. All right, Philadelphia, man, what a ball game last night. Philadelphia beat Detroit 2-0 last night. Heck of a ball game. The Mets half game back of the Phillies. Marlins clawing their way back to the 500 mark. Great job by former Dodger first base coach Clayton McCullough. Braves having a miserable year. I got to believe Brian Snitker's done there. And then the Washington Nationals bringing up the rear, 19 games back right now. Milwaukee pulled out to a 2-game lead over the Cubbies. The Reds 9.5 back, Cardinals 12 back, and the Pittsburgh Pirates 19.5 back. Dodgers hanging on to a 3-game lead. They took 2 out of 3 from Tampa Bay down in George Steinbrenner Field in Tampa this weekend, the minor league ballpark. Padres hanging in there 62-50, winners of 7 of their last 10, playing great baseball right now. Giants clawing their way back, took 2 out of 3 at Citi Field from the Mets over the weekend. They're right at the 500 mark, 6 games back. They're still in position, especially with 7 games to go against the Padres. Diamondbacks at 53-59, took 2 out of 3 from Oakland or Sacramento or Las Vegas over the weekend. Arizona 9 games back. And then the Rockies, they took 2 out of 3 from the Pirates over the weekend. They're 30-81, 34.5 games back. Okay, let's take a look at the wild card now. The Padres definitely opening up on the Reds right now, and everybody else for that matter. The Cubs, that division, the NL Central, they're going to go back and forth with Milwaukee. Milwaukee's really good. Cubs are really good. Mets, they're the Mets. But right now they're number 2 spot in the wild card. Padres hanging on to the 3rd spot. 4-game lead over Cincinnati. Padres just do their thing. They're going to be fine. Cincinnati, I don't think they have the ability to go on a 6 or 7-game winning streak. They don't have the pitching nor the bullpen. Giants are still a little scary to me, even though they're only at 500. I'm not going to rule them out. Marlins, they've done a good job, but I don't think they're going to be in it long term. I think their goal is just to finish above 500. In the Cardinals, I mentioned earlier, that's one of the worst Cardinal teams I've seen in many years at 56-57. So Padres sitting in pretty good shape right now. They got a very, very tough stretch coming up after this series. They've got Arizona, They got the Giants, the Dodgers, and Giants and Dodgers again. So it's going to be very interesting. Who knows? Maybe it'll go down to the wire, but I think the Padres, with what they did during the trading deadline, I think they can pull away and secure that third spot definitely. And who knows? They may be able to jump over the New York Mets at this point in time. Okay, let's get to Coach's mailbag from our last program, and then we'll let you get on with your day. And we appreciate you tuning in, by the way. Always appreciate you tuning in. Okay, let's take a look at Coach's mailbag. Jason, I'm with you, Coach. Sometimes the greatest trades are the ones you do not make. I predict Dylan Cease will have an outstanding second half. Well, that was coming from the last show. Dylan went out there yesterday, 5 shutout innings, a walk, 9 strikeouts, pitched great. And I like Dylan Cease. I really like him. I thought if they traded him, they would have got something good for him, but it might have also given him, get him out of the pressure cooker. But now I think he can relax. He can relax, and he's starting to build up some pretty good outings lately. So I agree with you. He's got great stuff. I mean, seriously, he's got stuff where he should be the number one guy. Pavetta's been the number one guy, but Cease has got great stuff. Great stuff. When he's on, he's as good as anybody in baseball, and I really mean that. It's just we haven't seen him on enough this year. But Jason, thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. All right, SDSFG45. I felt strong that the years of control with Miller was worth the price of DeVries. I might feel differently if Miller was something of a question mark, but he's proven. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. I didn't want to see Leo go, but if you can get a guy like Mason Miller, have him under control to 2029. Now, here's the deal. I want the Padres to keep him in the bullpen. If you go back a couple of years, he tried to be a starter with the A's, and his UCL started giving him problems. As hard as he throws, innings are going to kill him. Appearances aren't going to hurt him. Innings are going to hurt him. He does not need to be a starter. He can help this ball club and any ball club coming out of the bullpen better than he can help him as a starter. So I have no problem whatsoever about DeVries going in that deal. They sent 4 prospects there. You get a serviceable left-hander. We're going to see J.P. Sears tonight, maybe a change of scenery, working with Ruben Niebla, being around another group of really good pitchers. Maybe he'll learn some things. You never know. A lot of times left-handers mature a little bit later in their career. But we'll see what he brings to the table tonight. But you got Mason Miller under control to 2029. You got J.P. Sears. If you like him, you got him under control through 2028. All right, we got anything else? All right, that's going to do it. Man, hour and 12 minutes today. That's pretty good. All right, we'll see what the Padres can get done. We'll be back in on Wednesday. Looking forward to the show on Wednesday. Hope you enjoyed the program. Me and Brad getting into it, talking about the commissioner. And again, my whole feel, I don't care how much money these guys make. I really don't. Okay, some people, oh, you're jealous, or fans are jealous of how much money. Hey, you know what? I'm not jealous. I live a very comfortable life, fortunately. I've worked my tail off. My family's worked their tail off. If I never went to another big league game, I'd survive. I watch games on TV. But you know what? There needs to be a salary cap for us fans. It's getting too expensive. It's too expensive to go to a Major League Baseball game if you want to go on a regular basis. Now, the people that can afford the $15,000, the $20,000, more power to them. They've worked hard, and they can use their discretionary money however they want to use it. But I want to see little kids at the game. I want to see kids from different parts of San Diego be able to attend Major League Baseball games and motivate them, get them passionate about the game. You don't think going to Angel games when I was a kid before the Padres became a Major League team, you don't think that helped my love for baseball? And I had a great love as a youngster. As soon as I knew what baseball was all about, I loved it. But going to games and seeing big league players, being able to get autographs and go down and talk to them before games or stand outside the stadium after the game. I want every kid that loves baseball to have that type of opportunity. And not every kid's mom and dad can afford to take him to a Major League Baseball game. And you might say, how is that? Well, I mean, even like at Gallagher Square, and I use the Padres as an example, it's $60 to get a ticket to go to Gallagher Square. That's a lot of money. I mean, two parents or one parent and a kid, you're talking, and I don't know how much they charge for children. They may charge the same. That's $120. That's not even counting parking and getting the kids a hot dog and a Coke. And, one of the things I did when I was the general manager of the Soccers was I wanted to make sure that at our souvenir stand that we had pricey stuff, jerseys, but we also had stuff for, uh, families that brought their kids out and they didn't have a lot of money to spend on souvenirs. I believe this is me. You take a little kid to a ball game, and I don't know why I'm going off on a tangent on this, but this is big to me because I want all kids to love the game of baseball and have the opportunity to get better at the game of baseball. But I believe anytime you take a child to any sporting event, a professional sporting event, whether it's an NFL game, NBA, hockey, baseball, soccer, I want them to be able to go, sit and watch the game, get whatever the hell they want to eat. Just don't let them eat too much candy because you don't want to deal with that when you get home when they're bouncing off the walls. And I believe every organization should have stuff where folks can buy it and afford it and not just sell the $250 or $300 jerseys. You got to have something for everybody. And that's not easy. I understand that as an organization, you got to pay the freight, but I want kids to be able to get a souvenir, be able to eat, and be able to enjoy a professional sporting event. That's what I want. And I don't want the parents to go have to stop by the bank and pick up money or go over their debit card number to go to a game. I want to see more and more kids at ball games. I don't care if it's at Lake Elsinore or wherever. That's my standard. Whenever you go to a ball game, you go to the game, you get something to eat, and you always make sure you stop by the souvenir stand for the child that you've taken to the game. That's me. And so be it. But hey, anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the program. Please tell a friend. Please subscribe. Please like, and please send in your comments. Until Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., Coach John Kentera, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.